Welcome to another edition of Chicago Crossing Model Railroad at the Bench. It's me, Eric, here with you. Hope you're doing well. Hope your weekend has been good. Mine's been nice, and today a short video just to talk about some polystyrene solutions for wire management. And there's a lot of different ways that one can manage wires and adhere them to the underside of a layout. You know, you've seen me use these sorts of clips that you can buy, usually by, you know, the 20 to 30 to 100 if you go on Amazon, or you can find them at whatever hardware store you're interested in. And, you know, these are easy wire organization. There are also ways to simply use very, very thin walled polystyrene tubing as where you just cut through it so that you can kind of peel it apart and put wires through, as another option that allows you to essentially, you know, clip wires to the surface or the underside of your layout. You know, the other complication that sometimes arises is the drooping that can happen when you have, you know, pretty hefty wire bundles like the bus wires on Chicago Crossing. And so one thing I don't want to have happen is for all of the wiring to be drooping in catenary fashion underneath the layout, such that you can actually see that when you're standing in front of the layout. It's just, for me, part of what helps to A, keep the wires safe from being damaged, and B, just to give a professional look. Again, this thing's going to have to be picked up and put back onto a packing table frame. So I don't want to have wires drooping and potentially getting caught up anywhere. So what's the solution for that? Well, you know, one solution for that is basically just to, again, use polystyrene and to create little posts with a loop at the end using either one of these or just polystyrene tubing with a very, very thin wall that you've cut. So what I've done here is I've taken a piece of random evergreen polystyrene. This actually came out of one of my boxes of random shapes that you can buy from Evergreen. But basically it's a 2 millimeter thick piece of polystyrene that I essentially just cut to shape in a rough fashion. You know, I try to keep everything reasonably uniform, but at the same time, I'm not going to necessarily perseverate over each one of these pieces being even. Nobody's ever going to see them other than you and I guess the entire YouTube community, but whatever, it's fine. What I've also got here is 1/4 inch plastruct tubing. And in this case, the cool thing about this plastruct tubing is that it has thick walls. These walls would measure in probably about maybe 1/16 of an inch or so thickness. And what that leaves then is basically a hole that can be more or less self-tapped by something like a sheet metal screw. Here what I've got are some 6x3/8 sheet metal screws. You can use whatever type of screw you like. It could be pan head, it could be this type of head. Doesn't really matter too much. You can put a screw through the polystyrene sheet, and the screw will more or less self-tap. Like, it provides a little bit of resistance when you actually put it in there. And basically what you end up with is a surface like this with a screw on top. The nice thing then about these 1/4 inch polystyrene tubes with a 1/16 inch diameter wall is you can basically just take that, and same deal. It's like a self-tapping system, and you can basically just screw that in place, and this is held firmly. You know, I don't really feel like just using adhesives, regardless of whether it's MEK or CA or whatever. This is a solid joint. It's not going anywhere. And then likewise, you know, my preference is always to be able to remove something if I need to, as opposed to taking this and trying to adhere it to the plywood base. Same kind of deal, as I can take 2 of these screws and basically pass them through in the other direction, and then use that as the means of actually adhering this post to the layout. So then the last element is basically this wire clamp. And so as you can see, it's actually pretty simple to get this thing to be fastened securely into that polystyrene tube. And then what you have is basically a cross section like this. So if you have a large number of wires all trunked together in a bus cable or something like that, you can basically just run it through one of these, and you can put as many as you need onto the layout. So of course on my layout, the wires are also running through the horizontal joists. So that provides a little bit of support as well. These basically provide support in the middle of those sections. So just a simplistic way that you can, make a bunch of different mechanisms to hold cables in place without them drooping all down underneath your layout. All right, have a good rest of the weekend, and talk to you soon.